Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Scaling Deep podcast. I am excited to be here for another guest episode with Jessica, who is like my former client from years and years ago. So we're going to have so much fun finding out all about her journey. And I just want to share with you her bio. She's an international coach, lecturer, and author, recognized on 2 occasions by Revista. I hope I'm saying that. Expansión. I'm not Hispanic background. We're like French in Canada. So as one of the 100 most powerful business women in Mexico. And actually, no, this is interesting. We are just talking about this, and she mentions at the height of her corporate career and after surpassing a diagnosis of depression, she chose to start her own boutique coaching company, Beyond Corporate, created with a mission to normalize introversion, sensitivity, and mental health in Spanish-speaking countries through kindness, trust, and courage. And your membership, which we're going to talk about today. Thanks for being so like open about your bio and your background, because I think that's like going to really help people like wake them up to, that's interesting. That's big. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to reconnect because you were fundamental and crucial in that transition. You were my coach in my last year of corporate career or my corporate tenure. So it's amazing. It feels like a round circle moment for me. Thank you so much.
No, that is awesome. I'm so glad we've stayed in touch. And I guess it made sense as I moved towards memberships and you had one. You're like, I better stay. I better stay in her world. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I think the thing that I love about your focus in your journey is that I was saying to you earlier, you're such a deep thinker and you think on what's important, what's valuable to people, and what's not being said and what people are just accepting. And I know coming from Mexico, like a developing country where people are probably, a lot of people are more in like survival mode or get ahead mode, and that they're not thinking about a lot of the things that so many people in other countries that we see about on the media all the time are get to think about and talk about the things that your culture might not have room for or make space for, but it's still really affecting people. So I'd love to hear a little bit about just your take on that, because I think that's fascinating.
Well, very conscious about my privilege in terms of education, in terms of financial options, and in terms of me being able to speak several languages, or at least 2. So I have the privilege to be the observer and being able to bring all of my knowledge and wisdom and all of the tools that I have not only translated in Spanish, but how to adapt them culturally for what makes sense for my people. So I credit that interest and that curiosity to that, mainly to that. And my overarching question, why do we do what we do? That question has like a North Star for me, and I remember it very clearly from the tender age of 12 years. So my career has evolved the first time in marketing, because that question, how do we behave? Why do we buy things that we buy? That was the red thread over there.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, I've always had that same question too. I mean, but I guess that I didn't articulate the buying thing until later, but it's more like the need for more. It's like, what's driving this, and is it actually meaningful, and does it actually do anything for us? And and then the bigger question is like, how do we balance the ego's desire for more with the things that actually fill us up, which I think is kind of what you were probably getting into anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my North Star, the observer. And as you say, thank you, that the deep thinker. Why, how can we adapt those theories and those tools to what makes sense for me and my Spanish speaking people?
So you started out with Beyond Corporate, and so tell us a little bit about your journey, like how you got to like your membership now, because I feel like it's slightly evolved. I just want to hear a little bit about the focus, what you're helping people with. And then now, and partly because I'm curious, because we worked on those programs together and they were really cool. And then I saw over time, I kind of have seen little snippets of things that you've been doing. And so can you want to tell us how you've kind of gotten to this place?
Yes, it would be like opera in 3 acts. The first one, and the one that I developed with your framework and with your presence, was the Beyond Corporate program, which was aimed for people that had this question, like maybe corporate or maybe not. Do I stay or do I go? Should I stay or should I go? And that was a one-on-one program. And after 13 or 18 people that went through that program, some of them did the shift. Some of them decided to stay, but in a more grounded and a more significant way of staying, maybe adapting some kind of things, their roles or their own behavior around health or around integration. I rather think in integration instead of balance, or life integration.
Right.
After 18 people going through that on a one-on-one way, I have my own personal Beyond Corporate transition. And then I had a mentor that helped me unearth that all of that people, the model that they find the most interesting or the most useful, that helped them take a decision, was model number 2, which was money.
Yeah.
So I did like a spin-off. What if we separate that model 2 and deepen the information and the transformation around money? Because money is not numbers. It's not just numbers. It's the relationship that people have with money. And it's a mirror of your relationship with yourself, with your life, with power, with receiving, with deserving. There is a lot of stuff that gets amplified through the lens of money. So that spin-off was awesome. That would be chapter number 2.
Yeah.
I remember posting that on my personal Facebook page, which I don't have many quote unquote friends over there. And I said, I think I'm going to deliver this 12-week program around money. Interested? Inbox. Like that. And
Yeah.
I remember the first person that reached out, what are the topics? How does it work? And I remember answering that message and then print screen, because, oh, now we have a program.
It's always that one. It just takes one to buy. And then you're like, I better start selling this thing.
Exactly. So I sold out that program in 3 days. It was
well,
amazing.
like you hit on a need, because I remember the idea that most people were just being sold to, like, it was a very commercial, like the more you have, the better you are. Like the whole advertising and all that around the time was very much like people weren't say less is more. It wasn't really there. And I think you were noticing that people were like trying to satiate whatever they were with just having more stuff and spending more money. And they ended up that backfiring and making them not like feel like that was a very systematic issue that you were calling out. And so I think you were really catching something that was just being ignored or not spoken about.
Yes. So that program, which is called in Spanish Divino Dinero, loosely translated to divine money, it was like the intersection between practical personal finances and spiritual work, like sufficiency, enoughness, receiving, deserve, responsibility. That was the bridge, and it was awesome. I remember the third time the group sold, that was funny, because one person, in the first time I sold out the group, there was a girl that reached out and said, when are you offering that online? Because I live in another country. And I said,
oh, you were doing that in person?
Yeah, the first one was in person. And it was 10 people, 12 at the end, that could fit in my living room. 12 were the chairs that I have in my house.
Okay.
The second round, they said, when are you offering this online? Because I live in Colombia. And I said, next time, send her a PayPal link and please pay here. And the next round would be online. And she paid. And I was, oh my God, now I have to
No.
work this out. I have this sensitivity to the market and market needs. And I am a manifestor generator. So I tend to react to what is offered there. And I said, yes. So that was the question. When are you offering online? And I said, yes, next time, next month, please sign up here. Now I have to set it to work online. And that was a whole new way of doing business. And by the third time I launched the program, which of course was a lot of tweaking and reassessing and recommitting to that program. The third time that I offered, I remember clearly that I made $100 more than my monthly payment in my corporate job. And I said, this is it. This is it. That was chapter 2.
Okay. So let's tell us about chapter 3.
The Divine Money has this 6th model that regards around divine creation. How do you create not only money, but resources? Mm-hmm. By the time I was a solopreneur and I was creating my own paycheck, and other coaches were asking, how do you do that? As a coach, how do you create your own paycheck? And I said, oh, that's an interesting question. How? How do I do that? Let me figure this out. And I came up with private, what I call it, a private sale. Mm-hmm. With the marketing magic program. That's what I call Magia Marketera, marketing magic, that blends the practical and tactical things and also the spiritual things. Again, deserving, enoughness, confidence, mm-hmm. trust, courage, all of that stuff that only gets, in my experience, only gets amplified through the lens of entrepreneurship. So I offer that. And as a pre-sale, which is the first time I know, at least in Latin America countries, I pre-sold that program 90 days prior the start of the program, and it sold out in a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So it was popular. Okay. And online.
Yes, that was online. And that was my lifeline through all the pandemic period, because we started in March. So that was interesting.
Okay, so you ran this program. Do you still run the program?
The program now lives inside the membership.
Okay, so tell us, so what made you make that decision to switch it into a membership?
It was a threefold decision. The first, I got diagnosed with depression again, and I realized that my nervous system would feel better having something at least basic to start every month, not
like consistent.
Yeah, exactly, like consistent or predictable or something like that. At least the basics, and then we can build on top of that. So that was the first realization through the person, like, no, my nervous system prefers and thrives having some kind of consistency
rather than that like launchy thing that and not every, I think people, you can get used to it, but I think it's just, it can still create that you can get used to being stressed and nervous and like up and down and all that, but it doesn't mean it's good for you. Right. And that's great that you just know that cycle. Yeah.
The second one would be, I lose the energy and the interest and the excitement to talk about money, because money is never only about money. What I realized, it's a habit and it's a collection of skills. Then you can develop that. Yeah. And the same skills that I developed, by the way, during that 3-year period of time, I wrote a couple of books with the Divine Money program to make that available for even more people. An audiobook was recorded. So there was a lot of assets around Divine Money and money marketing and all of that stuff. And my soul started craving something else, because in my point of view, depression on a spiritual level, it's like, what have you been avoiding?
Yeah.
Where's the truth that you're not telling yourself? And the truth was, I was no longer excited to talk about only about money or only
Right.
about marketing. So what was very alive in myself was this deep and profound transformation of myself during
Mm.
that depression and before. It was like a 3-year period that I finally was able to pass the chapter in my life that was that had a lot of acute health issues, depression. I also had bulimia and avoidance tricks over there. And I finally was able to pass that page in my life. And
Mm.
what did I do? How? And I started like engineering process. What did just happen and pinpointing in a specific ways. And I realized I went through a very deep transformation of my own identity.
Mm.
This is funny because identity was present all the way in my work, even back before Beyond Corporate. Model 8 was around identity. Who are you without this specific profession or this specific job? It was to build and strengthen identity beyond your work. So that was then in the money program, we talk about also your new money identity. That was model 2. Marketing, it was model 1. Who are you? Like
Yeah.
your strengths, your values. Who are you aiming to be as an entrepreneur? That was the red thread all over my work. And now we just quote unquote amplify that. That would be the second pinpoint. And the third would be that after 14 years of throwing myself in human development, both personally and being the Sherpa of other people in their own process, it was very clear for me that it was not the lack of knowledge. Maybe 10% of that is knowledge or technical skills, but the rest is implementation and difficult that it is to put in place not only new behaviors, not only new habits, but a new way of being.
Yeah.
That is risky and awful and it has a lot of resistance. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you need a lot of company implementing and doing it like I like to say, it's like shampoo over and over and over and over and over and over again.
And you don't want to be a part of just their awareness or awakening journey. You want
Oh,
to be like helping them actually make the change. And you're right, that's like lifting weights. You're saying
yes.
the strength training is like part of how you thrive, right? And it's like you can't just stop. You can't just start and go, I'm going to do this thing for a while. It is like a consistent habit and way of being. Yeah. Okay. So the membership makes sense then for that. Okay.
I learned through your own journey that all those questions around memberships and all those beliefs or points of view that I had around memberships, one of them was I have to create a lot of content.
Mm.
I remember you saying, not really, maybe not in your podcast. And I said, yes, maybe not, because people, at least my people already know what to do. Again, the question, why are we avoiding the thing? Why? Because
Yeah.
we're very smart and clever. And how can we make the switch happen? Maybe the value, I understand that quite well. The value of the membership is not only the knowledge of, as you said, the awareness, but the implementation and the consolidation and the transformation. And that made a lot of sense in a membership format. It's like ongoing support where the rubber meets the road. I'm there.
Oh, that's amazing. So how do you facilitate that? So what do you do inside the membership that facilitates that implementation process? I'm just curious because that's my favorite kind of membership as well. I love a membership that is a little bit more relational and mastermindy. But so I want to hear how you do it. What's working?
The first thing that my marketing mind had to make sense of was the congruency of the story. How does identity refers to money and marketing? Where did I get lost? So I verbalize or communicate that, okay, we as a community or I would lead the community to build fortune inside your bank account and outside your bank account, meaning outside your habits, your health, your relationship, your life, outside the bank account, like beyond money. That was the way I was able to communicate, because it was a big leap. The money woman and now the identity Sherpa coach. What was that? So I communicate that way. And when I welcome people, okay, this is the fortune wheel, like a circle of life. Where are you focusing? And 80% of them were focusing on things beyond money. Isn't that amazing? So it was like a confirmation for me. And then again, I developed a core program, which is the Método Bravo. It's like the brave method of how do you transcend your old identity and how you build the one that it's
okay
for you now. It's a process, and it's the core process. The first month you get like that process. Who do I want to be? How do you define identity?
So you direct people into something right away and say, you do this first.
Yes.
So everyone's starting at a different time, because you do an ongoing enrollment, or people can, so everyone is directed. And that's, I do talk to a lot of people about that, because it is nice for people to get a foundation or a start here. And I think that, like in your case, because everyone could probably use that as a foundation, it's not as tricky as someone being like, but I already know all that. Can I skip that? So I think for you, you've got this new way of doing or thinking that will really help them. So even if it's just a brushing up on those ideas because they know something about it already, it's probably like a really, I just wanted to point that out, because I think there's other people thinking like, how do I enroll people and what do they do right away? And so I always say having a bit of foundational content that's like a boilerplate for, even if people think they're really advanced, sometimes they just are missing some of the, like, it's like someone is like, oh, my membership is stuck at a certain number of members and I can't grow beyond that. And I was like, well, it's probably positioning. So I put everyone back to positioning all the time, right? Because it's kind of the thing that when things aren't growing naturally, it's usually the number one thing. So it's not just something like I need 10,000 more people to see it. It's like, no, you need like more people to actually buy it if they're not buying it. So I think, it's just, I like that. I think that's a really great way to start. So you've got that.
Yeah. So I have that foundation. And what is very interesting, I had to offer something that could be adapted or that could be useful for any area in your life that you want this identity shifting. So in the community, which is called the Arena La Arena, where you go and wrestle and practice. Some people are working in their health and relationship issues. Some of them are working with money and marketing, and all others are working with life stuff. Like, I don't know why, but there are a lot of people with a laundry list of to-do list, like a laundry to-do list, things, visa, passport, the car, all of that paperwork, which is not only paperwork, it's your identity around the world. I have a lot of people in that campus. So the challenge for me was to create a method that would be useful for any area of your life. So that was interesting. I have a background in behavior design. I have a background in that, which I use in the money program, and then I use in the marketing program. And it makes me very agile in delivering the awareness, and then let's take action on that.
Cool.
The second pillar that is super useful for the membership is the boundaries model. It's even before the start here. It's start here. This is how the membership works. This is how we communicate each other. These are the important dates. We meet every Tuesday, and this is the tenor of our communication. Those are the values that we in this space respect each other. This is the way to get support from me. Like, there are 3 videos, maybe 10 minutes each, but it's like a etiquette. Like, yeah, this is how we do things over here. Mm-hmm. And I realize it makes people feel at ease immediately, almost immediately, 3 videos later.
Right. So that's critical to, it's critical is getting that sort of introduction to you and your approach. Like, I love that, bringing that, like, here's a safe, like, here's a space, because you're talking about personal things, right? So you want to make sure that they feel comfortable showing up and sharing. And one of the things that we need people to do inside a membership quickly is start using it and start showing up, because if they don't, they'll not stay. And because they're not using it. So they have to use it, and we have to do like whatever we can at the beginning to get them building it as a habit, or just even seeing how helpful it can be. And that's important. So that's okay. So that's what you're doing. You're helping them. And are you sending like a bunch of emails out? It sounds like you have weekly meetings that'll bring them into it. Do they, like, what is your, I mean, do you find that, sorry, I'm getting into the technical things because it's interesting. Like, do you find that people use all the things in it? Or do you find that some people use some just do this, some do that? Like, how do you?
I was very clear on that, because all of my intellectual property for over 14 years is there.
Yeah, it's everything for you. Hey, like everything's in there. Yeah.
Programs of boundaries, habits, design, mindset, like everything, and the sink is there. So I am very honest. You don't have to eat everything. This is like a buffet. Yeah. And what I did, the first realm, like 20 people sign in, and we were all in the same page. And the next people that joined felt like a little lost, like, I don't understand. They seem to know each other. How do I fit?
Yeah, it's hard. The first launch is almost like not the easiest, but it's the kind of the most like comforting, because you really feel like, oh, we're all starting this thing, and you're really observing it. But then all of a sudden, when you have all this, like, everyone's everywhere, so anyways, I've had my own epiphany about this. But
what I did was including a welcome session with me, one-on-one welcome session with me. It was half market research, half usage friendly, like customer service.
Yeah.
So I really get to know each and every one of the persons, of the brave spirits that are here. And I realized, okay, why do you sign up? Where do you want to focus? And then I provide, okay, for all the menu, the most important things for you right now, mm-hmm. A, B, and C. Let's focus on that. And
right. Okay. So are you still doing that with all your members?
Yes.
And you know, I just want to say that, like, I just wrote a membership retention article on my website, and I think did I do a podcast episode about that? Yes, I did. And I think I mentioned this, is that if you want to keep members, and if you want to connect with members and create a great experience, and you don't have thousands of members, have a call, like have a call, or reach out to them personally, because you need to let them know, like, how to, like, engage quickly. And you also will get feedback on the things that they are engaging in that you might not know that they're doing. And those two things can happen with a conversation, and it makes you feel better and it makes them feel better. And I think it's so worth it when you're in growth mode, because running a membership, when you have 14 years of content and you have regular calls that are group, is not that time consuming. No. So you might as well spend the time to really make sure people are there to stay.
On top of everything what you said, it gives you marketing copy, like their own words. Why do they sign up? Not why Jessica thought, or Lisa, or Peter, whatever. No. In their words, in their world. So it was like a copy marketing harvesting also for me.
Yes. Like what are their pain points? And yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I realized that, as back to your question, no, not of all of the people are taking advantage of everything. There are my people that only show up for the calls. There are people that show up for the recording of the calls.
Yes.
And there are people, what most of them, 95% of them show up is to the community, which right now is a Telegram group, a closed Telegram group. And it's like an open conversation with the specific boundaries and etiquette role and everything.
Okay.
But the important days are Mondays, with it's laser in Spanish, laser lunes, Monday, focus Monday, for example. So what
Okay.
are they focusing this week? Because remember, we are building identity. We are in identity shifting mode. So people need to focus and get sure that they focus on the really important thing. And since I know them, I am able to coach them on the spot with permission. Can I ask you a question? And say yes. And the other interesting day is the Friday, because it's our celebration day. What do you celebrate during the week? Of course, it is aimed to have self-esteem and self-confidence baked in the process, because one of the components of self-esteem is self-recognition. And you develop the skill of doing that every single beautiful Friday. So that also serves me like a thermometer. And okay, where are my people struggling? And it
Great.
shows the topic of the next month. And right now we've covered self-esteem, boundaries, energy, time, not time management, but time creation of what is alive in the community. What are the main obstacles? So we do a poll. What do you prefer for next month? Like the topic of next month is like a 15 minutes or 20 minutes new material.
Yeah.
It can record it. It could be a course on itself, but you get that. So
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that paying attention to what people want is important. So like I do believe in not having it planned out so much for in advance that you don't give yourself room to be like, oh, everyone is excited about this. I'm excited about this. This is what I want to be focused on in terms of what you create for it or the space you hold for it. So I think that's great. I love that, the nimbleness of it. And it takes the pressure off having to plan too much that just your like heart isn't into anymore. You don't want to have to do trainings or create content on things that you're not that interested in and it doesn't seem relevant or they're not interested in just because you said you do it.
and it also keeps it fresh for me.
Yeah.
With this second or third period of depression, I was also diagnosed with ADHD. And I said, oh, no wonder I want to skip from topic to topic. So it makes it safe for me and useful for my brain. I could use my ADHD superpowers. Okay, what can we create next month? And it keeps it alive for me.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I do think like we do need to follow our strengths when it comes to creating for memberships and allowing that superpower, whatever that superpower happens to be for each one of us, that needs to be part of it, because it isn't like a program where we like parts of it, we don't like parts of it, but we have to do certain, but then we kind of like get through it and then it's done. We have to keep energized for it, but which is okay because we're here doing our purpose work, right? We're here doing work that we love and we're helping people in ways that's way more fulfilling than a day job a lot of the time. So we just want to make sure that we are really honoring that about ourselves and not just saying, well, this is the way I have to do things, because a membership does provide the opportunity to do it in your way. Like some people will not be happy doing calls and other people, that's how they give the most, and vice versa, content, templates, you name it, right? We're all so different. So I think that's a really interesting, perspective. And I'm really glad you shared that. I wanted to ask you in a little bit more of a sales system question, because I think that is also tricky sometimes. Is like, it's easier. It's part of the things that's a little bit easier to sell a program within a container that has a clear outcome and a clear start and stop date. So can you tell us a little bit more about your sales process and what's working and what's not working as well and sort of where you think you need to take it? Because it's always something we're working on. I'm just assuming it's something you're working on.
The best enrolling tactic for me, it's a practical workshop. You can call it webinar or whatever. I call it
Right.
anti-webinar because it's not rooted in scarcity or fear or whatever. It's
But
more like,
is it free? Like it's a free
yeah,
training? Yeah.
right now it is free. So there are a couple of assets that provide that are aimed to meet new eyeballs or new earbuds.
Yes. Yes.
So the first one is this webinar that I did this experiment running one per week. It was amazingly interesting. One per week.
Good
One.
for you. I've been trying to do every 2 weeks and I can't even do that. I'm like, because I can't stomach the amount I have to spend on ads to get people in there. So I'm like at once a month right now.
Yeah. So this is it. Right, let me, and then we go back to what I found interesting in terms of marketing attribution. But the first one is that webinar, and it's the content is why aren't you doing what you know it's important in your life? It's because maybe you are in a aware phase, but you are the next step for you is implementation.
And you're not doing it.
Why don't we implement? Because we are smart and clever. And then I debunk all these obstacles and provide the foundation, the brave method of identity shifting. And it's free. It's available in YouTube, or you can get live with me in a specific way. It's
so you
amazing.
were running it live.
Yes, because that works for me. I thrive at live interaction. For example, this interview, TV interviews, or podcasting and teaching.
Yeah.
And it also allows me, or it allows people to get a sense of my energy and my teaching and my approach and my style of coaching in a live way. And it also brings me a container to showcase how does this coaching things work, because in my space coaching is still like what is coaching? So no, better have a taste of it, have it
so
work.
it gives them that real like intro to like thinking about themselves and then understanding how they feel afterwards, by talking about it and thinking about it, and then they understand that. So okay, so that's working for you now.
And the second one is the assessment is also free, and it's like all the data points that we have after 14 years, like how do people go through change? And we, my sister and I, were able to identify like there are 3 stages of people going through change. Where are you? And what are the next steps? Whatever you are, this is the ideal next step for you.
I see. And that's more like a PDF kind of lead magnet thing, or like a report, like it says like you're at this, okay, like a quiz.
It's a quiz. Exactly. It's a quiz, multiple option quiz. It's like a 10-minute quiz. And then at the end of that, you get in which phase are you, and what are the symptoms and the risks of spending more time that is required there, and what would be your ideal next steps. For phase 2 and 3, the ideal next step is the membership.
Okay. So how are you driving traffic to those? Are you like obviously there's things like this or whatever, like different appearances. Are you doing ads at all? Like what are you, how
this
are you
is
doing?
the thing that is not working.
The ads.
Ads for me, there are challenging. I work better being in other people's audiences, like in podcast, being guest in another podcast. That works for me. Being interviewed either in TV or radio shows, that works for me. And the interviews are that 10 minutes long or 15 the most, or 5 minutes long. And what has served me well is my background in PR and marketing spokesperson. And what I found useful, and you might find useful, that promoting a membership, is just take one topic, one specific topic. For example, the interview is around boundaries. And 5 minutes, remember that, 5 minutes. What can I share about boundaries? What can I share about specific tools? Then the gift, either the assessment or the free class, the free training. That's what's working, and it works good for us. And also I'm all and all into email marketing for, I don't know, maybe 7 years now, 10
Yeah.
years now. So written word is one of my strengths. So there's
Mm-hmm.
that, which helped me
Mm-hmm.
for warming people. And the membership, it's kind of complex or not common as other memberships. How to lose weight in 30 days, or
Yeah, it's pretty
how
broad. Yeah.
to cultivate orchids, like very specific. This is why. So that gives me many access points to share that. And
Okay.
that's
So yeah,
working for
you
me.
can use those little micro topics
Yes.
and that is the yes. And that's kind of what works for ads, right? Like it's that same kind of thing as you pick one little thing and then you seed the idea and the hook, it's the hook, right?
Yes.
So interesting. So, well, that's great. No, it's fun. It's interesting. I always want to hear about the marketing because I think people usually can't get their head around the membership, but then they get their head around the membership and then they're like, how do I grow this thing? And it's like, it's not complicated. It's just as hard as anything else, but it can get complicated to us, as people who own it, because we see the whole the whole value of it. And it's really hard to break it apart sometimes and in terms of the marketing and the sales. So I think that's interesting. I'm curious to know, okay, one last question. Do people who are on your list, do they buy down the road, or do you find that people tend to buy right away or not at all? I'm just curious to know like how you remarket to your list, because I just want to know if you're finding that's working or not working.
Some people sign during the webinar, during
Yeah.
that, or a couple of days after, because we do that the first and the second week of the month, or we
Yeah.
aim to do that. So we are starting a fresh month next month. So that's the monthly, the calendar works for us like a charm. Also change of season. So we launch in.
So do you go like to the same people though? You're just always trying to bring them back in. Okay.
Yes, yes. And what is very interesting
But you're not bringing them back to the same workshop, are you? Like,
that's
are you
the
doing different
no,
workshops?
that's the interesting thing. There is a workshop that is always the same. The monthly workshop. What are you aiming? Because the pillars are the same. What are you focusing on? Maybe the content or the stage of your life, of course, is different, but the framework is the same. What is the focus of the monthly focus? What are you trying to build or to get rid of during this specific period of time, 30 days, every
Mm-hmm.
day?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same. And I offer that as a gift for the new people. And I said, okay, all these, if you want to join, this is available for you also. And all of them join again, because one more time, it's not the new knowledge that they need, it's the implementation.
You're right. You're right. So they're kind of just it's like anything. We're just built like we're literally, most of us are just circling back all the time on wisdom that we've gathered somehow that we're just not necessarily taking like action on. So yes, your workshop is a reminder to them that, hey, it's time to pay attention, or I need to revisit that again. Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. I find that I sometimes loop my people back into something, but then I often don't if they've been around for a long time, because I don't know. I think I feel like I have to do something really brand new in order to loop them back in. So, but I haven't really, I've kind of let those a few thousand people just in the background hang out for a while who I haven't figured out what to do with, because it's like they're not taking action, they're not joining, so it's like, oh, what are you doing here? So it's sometimes we have to really think about that relationship with the people on our list who are not new to the list, and getting our head around what is useful for them, and still inviting them back in, because we do have something that's always open. And even if they've been a part of it before, they could come back, right? So it's a different than a program like, you've done that, you're not going to do it again.
Yeah, I see it not as a circle, but as a spiral. So maybe it's the
Yeah.
same framework that we go over and over and over again, but we are not the same person. Like the river
Yes.
is not the same.
Yeah.
Not the man. How was the neither the river nor the man is the same.
Yeah.
So it helps. You know who inspired me, and it helps me a lot to see what other industries are doing. And I saw that in a weight loss membership that they have a Sunday meal prep or something like that. And I was, how come? Yeah, because it's like you have to do it every single
Right.
week, and you do it in company, and they have fun, and maybe I can do that. I took that
Yeah.
from the weight loss membership and also my own money program, because we have a Friday with money dates. We all do that together, and it also works as a double bonding system with my ADHD people and friends.
Yeah.
It helps. It works. Like not only the accountability, but being in the presence of another loving being
Mm-hmm.
makes it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. No, it's a good little reminder to think about, like, how am I nurturing these people, and what can I invite them into to go check out everything again and get them engaged with something that is interesting to them from a topic perspective. So yeah, I know I got to get back on it. Anyways, it's been so great to connect with you and hear all about your membership and your journey, about like how you've taken the topic, your own personal journey, the things you've learned, the topics you're interested in and love teaching, and kind of move them sort of deeper and deeper into a kind of like an all-encompassing, it's all in there, but it's all aiming towards the same thing. I think it's a really fun example and story. And I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of people to think about that, because those could be people who are also in the same boat of being like, I don't want to just talk about some tiny little thing, right? I really want to talk about all the things, and I don't want to pretend that it's all separate when it's not. So huge inspiration for us today. Where can people find you online and join your membership if they speak Spanish?
If you speak Spanish, you can join there. Or if you are an English native speaker, we can do one-on-one.
There you go. That's also highly recommended.
Through the process. So my digital house is under my name right now, which is Jessica Vazquez. You should put that
I'll
in.
link it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my main digital house that you can. And soon, hopefully, we will launch the Identity Shift podcast with the name of Brave Spirit Podcast.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So we can share and showcase what does an identity shift looks like in different realms of life, so people can that's how it works. That's what she means when she says identity shifting. That's how we can share and inspire and invite people to join the movement.
Amazing. And then your membership is La Arena, except for I can't say that very well. Which you can find also on her website. So thanks so much for being with us today and sharing your story.